A former Texas high school principal was convicted of killing his wife in 1985. Well, now, 3 decades later, there's a huge turn in the case. Here is the shocking update in True Crime Chronicles.
Joe Bryan was the principal of Clifton High School in Texas. He was married to Mickey, an elementary school teacher in the same school district.
He was a gentle soul, liked everybody, got along with everybody, very musical. I never heard him say a bad word about anybody.
One morning in 1985, Mickey failed to show up for work. Joe was at a conference in Austin, 120 miles away, when police found Mickey's body inside the Bryans' home. Days later, police find a flashlight with bloodstains on it in Joe's car. He's then convicted of killing his wife.
It's not in his makeup to do what they said he did. He just couldn't have done it.
Joe was sentenced to 99 years in a Texas prison.
When I first came in, I was angry with God. I was mad at the world. I didn't understand what had happened and why it had happened. I just knew that I was innocent.
A huge break came in 2018 when a retired police detective admitted he may have made some mistakes in his original findings when he tested the bloodstains on the flashlight.
There was never a second thought in anybody's mind, at least in my mind, that he had anything at all to do with this.
After 7 attempts to file for parole over a span of 30 years, a judge finally granted it this March.
I had to be in prison for something I didn't do, and you go through all the shame, humiliation, and embarrassment of all that happening to you. Plus, my family was experiencing all this with me too.
Joe, now 79 years old, is still fighting the case while out on parole. His defense team is petitioning the Supreme Court for relief. Joe still says he's innocent, but in the eyes of the law, he's guilty.
Eric and I interviewed a reporter who actually spoke with Joe Bryan and has been investigating this case. Take a look at this. We're joined by anchor Leslie Draffin from KCEN in Temple, Texas. Thank you for joining us, Leslie. Now, Joe is out on parole. You spoke to him on the phone recently. How is he handling everything right now?
I talked to Joe the day after he got out on parole, actually, and he was happy and excited, just like you would imagine he would be. He also seemed peaceful and calm in a way, and he wasn't bitter at all about all that he has been through.
Wow.
With that said, though, I think he's still really passionate about clearing his name and ultimately finding out who really killed Mickey, because he still maintains his innocence.
Now, the retired detective actually admitted he made some mistakes investigating the blood stains found on the flashlight. Can you explain more of what happened?
Her case was one of the first cases he ever did. He was tasked with looking at the crime scene, and when they found the flashlight, he was the one who ultimately discovered and said the killer was holding the flashlight in his hand when he shot Mickey at close range. So skip to 2018. After Robert Thorman saw the evidentiary hearing and the testimony by these newer witnesses, he came back and said, well, I might have made some mistakes. And in a 2015 affidavit, he actually also said that if the flashlight does not have blood on it, because DNA testing on the flashlight's been inconclusive as to whether that really was blood, he said in 2015, if it's not blood on the flashlight, then everything I said was wrong.
Wow. Leslie, there was another murder in Clifton around that same time that Mickey died. Do you think at all that they could be related?
Just a brief summary of what that was. In the summer of 1985, a 17-year-old girl, Judy Whitley, was murdered. And 10 years later, after her case went cold, a former Clifton police officer committed suicide. After Dennis Dunlap committed suicide, they ultimately said he killed Judy. But what also happened in that suicide was Dennis Dunlap's ex-wife came forward and said that he had told her years back he'd been with the principal's wife the night she died, which would have been Mickey. And then they also found a pair of boots where Dennis Dunlap committed suicide in his hotel room that may have been linked to Joe as well. So I think it definitely could be worth a look.
Thank you, Leslie, to stay on this complicated case. To read more, visit KCEN-TV.com. You can also listen to the podcast episode, The Principal's Wife. It's out now. Just search True Crime Chronicles on your favorite podcast player. Leslie, great job. Thanks again.